Imagine this. You're skating your heart out on your final game of the season. You're on a breakaway, but then all of a sudden, number 12 comes out of nowhere. Slash. You fall to your knees, skating head first into the boards. Black. All you see is black. Ashbury College and special guests. Now I could continue on with the story, but as you can all probably guess, this ended with a concussion. That story was about hockey, but concussions can happen in almost any sport. You can get a concussion with or without a helmet. Although you may not see any bumps or bruises on the outside, you may still have a concussion on the inside. G-force is the measure of force equal to the force of gravity. Most concussions occur when your brain experiences more than 95 Gs of force from a sudden impact on a hard surface, but can also occur from whiplash. Imagine your head is like an egg. Your skull is the shell, and your brain is the yolk. If the egg is moving along and then suddenly stops from impact, the yolk could slosh around inside of the egg with such force that it could get injured, even though the shell may not have cracked. Symptoms of a concussion are often not visible and often do not appear until later. There are lots of different signs and symptoms of a concussion beyond just memory loss, like headaches, blackouts, ringing in your ears, slurred speech, vomiting, and fatigue. Should kids be learning these symptoms in school? It could save hundreds, maybe even thousands, from serious brain injury. The problem is, kids don't always tell an adult if they are experiencing one of these symptoms, because most of the time they think it's not a big deal and it will pass, but they're wrong. If kids knew they might have a concussion, they should tell an adult and take extra precautions. What's the big deal if a concussed kid gets another concussion? Well, have you ever heard the saying, the more the merrier? Concussions are the opposite of that. I like to think of concussions as the more the scarier. Why? Well, when you get a concussion, it leaves scars in your brain tissue and it gets easier to get another one. Each concussion is more severe than the previous one. In the days and weeks after getting a concussion, your brain is much more sensitive to damage. This is called second impact syndrome, also known as SIS. SIS is when an individual gets a second head injury before the symptoms of the first injury have gone away. This causes cerebral edema and herniation and can lead to collapse and even death within minutes. Only 17 cases of SIS have been recorded, including the death of Rowan Stringer, who is from right here in Ottawa. Rowan Stringer was a 17-year-old girl who played high school rugby and died of a concussion in 2013 when she experienced 3 concussions in 1 week. The sad part of the story is that Rowan suspected she might have had a concussion after her first one, but never told anyone. She even Googled concussions that week. After her death, Rowan's parents pushed for a new law in Ontario. It was the first of its kind in Canada, called Rowan's Law. It made sure that young athletes are more knowledgeable about concussions and are much more aware. Rowan's parents had said that Rowan wouldn't have wanted anyone to stop playing sports like rugby, only for them to be more aware and be more careful. But what if there was a more reliable way to determine if a concussion had occurred? Is asking a kid who slides headfirst into the boards playing hockey what she had for breakfast the best way to diagnose concussions? Specialists at the National Institute of Health are now working on a more scientific approach, a blood test that can quickly and reliably diagnose concussions. All it requires is 1 drop of blood from your finger. This could help not only professional sports players, but also soldiers on the battlefield, victims of an everyday car crash, and kids who play all sorts of sports. Their research hopes to show that a small sample of blood drawn within 6 hours of a forceful impact can be tested in a machine to determine whether a concussion victim will be able to return safely to action or have to sit out for several weeks. This would eliminate the risk of athletes lying about or hiding their symptoms. Hopefully, it would also eliminate the risk of any more tragedies like the death of Rowan Stringer. Their research paper is supposed to be released in the next few weeks, so keep your eyes out for it. Now, I hope all that information doesn't start to make your head hurt. Please try not to get a concussion. And if you think you might have one, tell someone. Or even better, maybe you will be able to go to your doctor to get a blood test to know for sure. Thank you.